Hey guys, I'm Chris with True Fun Entertainment, and if this is the first time you're watching my videos, welcome. I am currently porting Mortal Kombat to the Atari Jaguar. In the last video, I announced the release of the first alpha version of the game. This was kind of introducing a single player experience where there's 8 fighters. That's the 7 original fighters plus the Jaguar exclusive Red Ninja Kasumi. And all of those fighters are in there with the basic move set, the special moves, and their fatalities. But the big downside to that release is that there was no computer AI. So you really couldn't play a true single player experience. So I am proud to announce that today there's a new version 0.2.1 that you can download, and it does in fact include CPU AI. And as you saw from the thumbnail, Reptile is also playable in this release. So we're going to take a look at the game running on real hardware, and of course we're going to take a look at Reptile. Then I'm going to dig into some changes that were made to the BattlePlan. That's the ladder, as in the single player version where you work your way up to Goro and Shang Tsung to beat the game. You work your way up that ladder, and I'm going to show what was originally implemented in the last version, and then how it looks in this new version, and then why those changes were made. And then we're going to take a look at the computer AI and kind of what I modeled it after and how that was implemented. We're going to take a look at the code and see how that was done. But first I want to take a moment to thank the Patreon supporters. As always, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. You guys continue to give me feedback. You're reporting bugs. I'm excited to hear kind of what you guys think of this new release. And if any of you guys want to join us, that would be awesome. Head over to patreon.com/truefungames and sign up at the True Tester level. And the top pinned post there is going to have the download actually for this new alpha version. You can download that, load it onto your game drive, and run the game on real hardware. And when the game boots up, you're going to see links to where you can report bugs or you can provide feedback. So we'd love to have you. Okay, so I got the game loaded up here. We're running it on hardware. Let's take a look and check out Reptile. So Reptile is currently playable. You see he's not on the character select screen, but he is hidden. So if you go over to Kasumi and you hit up, you'll select Reptile. He will be playable in the final version of the game, but he'll have to be unlocked, whether that's beating Reptile or finishing the game. I haven't really decided yet, but for now, for the alpha, he is selectable, just kind of hidden. And not sure if you heard it, the voiceover of saying Reptile, I used AI to generate that. So I uploaded a bunch of other samples of the announcer and then had him say Reptile. Turned out pretty good. And here's the new battle plan. We're going to do a deep dive on this here in a bit, and I'll compare what we had before versus what we have now. So as you can see, I am getting hit, so we do now have CPU AI. And since I'm Reptile, I can do both Sub-Zero and Scorpion moves. Got a little bit of screen tearing going on there, but I have plans to improve these things, so we'll get there. And here in a bit, we're going to cover what went into building the enemy AI. I based it on both MK1 and MK2, and I'll show some examples with that. I'm not sure what's going on there. Huh, that's a bug. But yeah, we're in alpha, so we definitely have bugs yet still. But that was weird. I was holding block, but I was receiving damage. So I'm guessing his projectile was stuck in the air but hidden. So not quite sure.
And little things I did add, I added like the danger warning when the health is almost depleted. I added the continue and the game over screens. Since we now have enemy AI, I needed a way to kind of progress the game. So there are now continues and a game over screen. And by default, you get 3 continues, but that will be configurable whenever I build out the options menu. And Sonya might beat me here. We'll see. I think I got her. And there's Reptile's Jaguar exclusive fatality. So I wanted to come up with something different. So I used the frames of actually when he's being held by Goro, where his arms are out. I used that frame, then had him, go up in a green flame. It's the flame that Scorpion has for his fatality. Turned it green, and then toast them. Kind of like Scorpion. So anyways, I wanted to do something unique. I thought about just doing Scorpion's fatality, but with a green flame, but wanted to do something cool, and I thought that was something different. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments.
All right, so the next thing I want to take a look at is the battle plan. So we saw a little bit of that in the last clip, but basically in the last release, the battle plan, I just was not happy with it. I used the Super Nintendo assets because they were readily available, they were already cut, and honestly, I think it was a little rushed, and it kind of showed. It didn't perform well. It kind of stuttered as it scrolled. There was some sprite tearing in the background, and everything was just small. I just did not like it, especially when I'd go back and watch arcade footage or check out other MK Mugans that are out there. It just made me kind of cringe when I looked at the battle plan. I was like, we can do better. So I completely scrapped it, recut all of the images, and made kind of a new, fresh approach. And I was actually able to use portraits from the character select screen, which are bigger than the portraits that the arcade uses in its battle plan. So let's take a look. So on the left, you can see this is the old version. You can see it has the much smaller sprites, smaller text. And you'll see some jitter there in the text, and you'll see some kind of lines at the top. That's sprite tearing that's going on. And on the right is the new version where we have silky smooth scrolling, large sprites, and I'm really happy with this, how it's turned out. Because of the large sprites, I kind of had to change the way endurance matches were going to work. So I came up with kind of slicing the images where like 75% of the image is the first fighter, and that second fighter is kind of a sliver next to them. I thought it was kind of cool. It's something that I've never seen before, and makes this version unique. But ultimately, it performs a lot better. And I'm really glad I took the time to go back and do this the right way. And it kind of shows that game development and just software development in general, you have to iterate. You get something going, You see how it looks, and if it's not what you envisioned, you keep thinking about it, and you think about new ways to do it, and you kind of go back to the drawing board. And this is an example of going back and making it right. So I guess the point is, if there are things in this release that seem off, let me know. Put it in that feedback, or put it a bug report. I'm not opposed to going back to the drawing board and making things right. So anyways, this is just an example of that, and I'm glad I did it. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the computer AI. So the first thing I'll say is I don't have the original source code to Mortal Kombat. So I don't have the AI logic to kind of base it off of. I'm having to base it off of how I play the game, and kind of how the CPU reacts to the way I play the game. So there's that. And I've looked up videos on the AI in both Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 in the arcade. So the combination of those three things are kind of what I'm using to re-engineer the AI logic for the computer opponents. So I'm going to start a video here. This was a video on the MK2 logic, where they kind of go through how it works. So they say, depending on the character, jumping backwards will either cause the opponent to throw a projectile, or they'll jump towards you. So as you can see, we're jumping back. Sub-Zero sometimes throws his ice, sometimes he jumps towards them. So this was kind of the first thing I wanted to tackle for the AI, to see if I could match this, behavior. And we can see this is the Jaguar version. So as Kano jumps back, Raiden either jumps towards me or throws the projectile. Here Sonya's jumping, and here, as I jump back, she throws a projectile. So that's me mirroring that AI logic that is currently in the MK2 arcade. It works. It's pretty cool. So let's take a look at how I did it in the code. Okay, so I've got Visual Studio loaded up here, and we are in the CPU.c file, where this is basically, if you're in single player mode, this is basically the update loop for the computer AI, where every frame it's running this logic. So we're saying if the player's current state is jumping backwards. So if the player is jumping backwards, then something's going to happen. So that means this wrap RND, this is a random number generator. So I am using random numbers as to kind of to make it a little unpredictable. So and this is basically one of two things can happen when the player jumps backwards. Either I'm going to throw a projectile, or I'm going to jump towards that opponent. So this RND and 255 basically means give me a random number between 0 and 255. If that number is greater than 100, so it's a little bit better than a 50% chance, then I fall into this block. So the first thing I check is the CPU fighter Reptile? The reason I have this logic is because Reptile has two projectiles. He can either throw Sub-Zero's ice, or he can throw Scorpion's harpoon. So there's a little special case for Reptile here, where basically I say, is the random number greater than 100? If so, throw Sub-Zero's ice. Otherwise, throw Scorpion's harpoon. Otherwise, if I'm not Reptile, if we're Sub-Zero, we throw the ice. If we're Scorpion, throw the harpoon. If we're Kasumi, we do his little fireball. And otherwise, we just do the generic throwing projectile state, which is used by everybody else. So Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Kasumi, and Reptile have a special handling of their projectile. Everybody else was able to use kind of a generic logic. That was the first case of this random number being greater than 100. Then we do the projectile. Or if it's less than 100, we're gonna jump forward. And building the AI, that's kind of how everything was done. Those are kind of the building blocks where I do have this concept of a difficulty delay. And basically, the harder the difficulty, the quicker reaction time the AI is going to have. So things are going to get harder as you go up the ladder. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with how Mortal Kombat AI or difficulty works, but no matter what difficulty setting you put it at, it always ends up at very hard. So if you start it very hard, it stays very hard all the way up. If you start it easy, it steps its way up to very hard by the end. So one way or the other, the game's tough. And in my version, I'm still tweaking the AI. To me, it seems too easy, but it's tough to gauge that because I play it all the time. So I'll be interested to see what you guys think about the difficulty. And here's one other section of AI we can look at. I have these distances, so I can kind of gauge where what the distance is between the player and the computer opponent. And if that, in this case, if the computer distance is it's greater than a far range, so they're far apart. What I'll do here, if you're Raiden, I can teleport. Or if I'm Scorpion or Reptile, I can do that teleport. And then finally, for everybody else, they're gonna walk forward. And these are all based on random numbers, that's the either teleport or walk forward case, or we can just walk forward, or we can jump forward. So that adds some variety where if we're far apart, we can handle that in different ways. And now if we're mid-range, we could do these things. So if I'm Johnny Cage, I can do a shadow kick. If I'm Raiden, I can throw the torpedo. Or not throw the torpedo, but do the torpedo. Liu Kang, flying kick. Sub-Zero can slide. Or we can just walk forward. Anyways, like I said, this is my first stab at the CPU AI. I look forward to seeing what you guys think about it, and we will just continue to refine it as we go. And that's it. That's all I have for today. I encourage you, go over to patreon.com/truefungames. If you're a true tester, you can go ahead and download the game today. Give it a shot. Let me know what you guys think. It's cool that now we're at the point where I can do these minor releases more often, and you guys are going to see a lot more updates coming soon. These two versions were about 2 months apart, and I think that would kind of be a good cadence. Up next, I want to work on Goro and Shang Tsung and the endurance matches. So, and that would truly be a top to bottom, the whole ladder and the whole single player experience. So that's kind of what I'm going to shift to next. But that's all I have for today. We'll see you guys next time.
Kano wins. Fatality.